Hey everybody, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here, author of the Earthman Jack Space Saga, and today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is, of course, Star Wars. And basically, we're going to be focusing in on the Obi Wan Kenobi TV series, which is set to premiere on Disney Plus sometime in 2020. But Hollywood Reporter did an interesting article about what the Obi-Wan series could mean for the franchise, and I thought it was worth talking about. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you might know that I've covered this topic in other videos where, I've actually looked at some articles going back as far as 2014, back when Lucasfilm had their Star Wars story anthology strategy, where they were going to be releasing movies focused on Star Wars characters, which were kind of standalone things, and they actually did two of them, one of which was Rogue One, the other of which was Solo, a Star Wars story, and they were actually planning to do an Obi-Wan Star Wars story, but they had a trilogy of them planned, so 3 Obi Wan Kenobi movies that were going to kind of be standalone adventures, much like, kind of how James Bond works, type thing, and they were in negotiations with Ewan McGregor to come back. And after the failure of Solo, they kind of scrapped their plans for future Star Wars stories movies, instead focusing on future trilogies in the saga to kind of, go forward in the box office, alternating with films like Avatar. So you'd get an Avatar movie, then you'd get a Star Wars movie, then an Avatar movie, then a Star Wars movie, and on and on and on and on, until it was time to start a whole new, trilogy. And that kind of left Lucasfilm with a bunch of projects that they had been developing. And once Disney Plus became a thing, they've kind of repurposed these Star Wars anthologies to become TV shows. So, for instance, the Boba Fett Star Wars story movie that they had been planning to do for a long time eventually morphed into The Mandalorian, which is going to be the premiere series that Disney Plus is going to be launching. And you also have Rogue One, which they repurposed as the Cassian Andor series. And now we have Obi-Wan, and it looks like they're going to be taking the scripts for the movies that they had planned and kind of rejiggering them to fit into a TV show. In fact, Kathleen Kennedy already said that they have the scripts already written and that filming is set to start early in 2020. But if we go over to the Hollywood Reporter here, we actually have a opinion piece. Now, keep in mind, this isn't hard news. This is actually just speculation on this guy's part, but it was an interesting enough article that I thought deserved comment on, especially in regards to what we already know about the Obi-Wan series. So this is from a columnist named Rosie Knight, and the headline is How Obi-Wan Series Could Unite the Star Wars Trilogies. And it goes on to say, will Ewan McGregor's Disney Plus show be the thread that connects the past, present, and future? Obi-Wan Kenobi is coming back, news that made fans rejoice when it was confirmed Friday at D23. But could Ewan McGregor's return as the Jedi Knight be even more significant to the larger Star Wars mythos than it seems? According to the official Star Wars timeline revealed at D23, the new Disney Plus series will take place after Revenge of the Sith, obviously, during Solo, and just before A New Hope, which has potential ramifications for the future of the ever-growing franchise. The Rise of Skywalker sizzle reel released at D23 reiterated the importance of connecting the 3 trilogies by using footage from George Lucas's original trilogy as well as his prequel films. Though Rise of Skywalker, which opens on December 20th, will be hitting screens first, the Obi-Wan series has the opportunity to firmly cement the 3 eras of the franchise as one, with Obi-Wan as a through line. Viewers first met Ben Kenobi as a hermit living on the desert planet of Tatooine, hiding from his former life as a Jedi. The reluctant hero took on Luke Skywalker as a Padawan after Princess Leia asked him for help saving her from the Empire. Played by Alec Guinness in a role that would garner him an Oscar nomination, the Wise Jedi soon became a fan favorite and core part of the Star Wars franchise. When Lucas returned to the franchise with the prequels, Ewan McGregor took on the role of Obi-Wan. And fans got to know the man behind the hood. The young idealistic hero wanted nothing more than to find the chosen one who could bring balance to the Force. In reality, his journey was far more complex as he lost his mentor, Qui-Gon Jinn, and tried to save a boy who would ultimately be turned to the dark side. As his past in the Star Wars film showcases, Obi-Wan has already played a major part in 2 eras of the trilogy. McGregor even had a small part in the new franchise in The Force Awakens, with his voice whispering Rey when the young scavenger finds Luke's lightsaber in the basement of Maz Kanata's cantina. The Star Wars comics and animated series Rebels have revealed a little of what Obi-Wan has been doing in the period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. During the 2017 Star Wars series written by Jason Aaron, readers got a glimpse at Obi-Wan's diaries and teased his life as a desert-dwelling Ronin of sorts, wandering the sand dunes and helping where he could without revealing his roots as a Jedi. This seems like a potential premise for a show, but there could be ways for it to work with popular Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker theory, which states that the film will focus on hunting down Sith or Jedi artifacts. Could Obi-Wan have spent his time after the execution of Order 66, which saw the eradication of the Jedi, trying to secure these vital artifacts? Now, keep in mind here, there's really no proof that there are Sith or Jedi artifacts in the Rise of Skywalker. I think this person who wrote this article is going off of possible leaks online about the plot for The Rise of Skywalker, but this is pure speculation here. The Obi-Wan series also has the potential to answer other questions raised in the new set of films. How did Maz end up with Luke's lightsaber? Was Palpatine active in between the trilogies? And as the show crosses over with the Solo timeline, could we learn more about the origins of Enfys Nest and her role in building the rebellion? Will it include Obi-Wan's nemesis, Darth Maul? No date yet has been set for the Obi-Wan series, but as McGregor told the crowd at D23, after years of vague comments from him, it feels good to be talking about it in the open. Okay, so, this article really seems like an attempt to try to tie the sequel trilogy into episodes 1 through 6, simply because I think most Star Wars fans know that episodes 7 through 9 have tried their hardest to kind of break ties with what came before them. The Force Awakens basically started with a big reset button. They got rid of the New Republic midway through the film. The First Order is basically just the Empire, just with a different skin on it. So a lot of fans' complaints have been about how disjointed the sequel trilogy feels. And this article here is proposing that the Obi-Wan series has the potential to kind of tie the stuff that George Lucas made, episodes 1 through 6, in better with the sequel trilogy. Now, I don't know about how much of these speculations are true. I know that in the initial phase of the Obi-Wan trilogy that was being planned, there were going to be 3 parts. The first was going to take place on Tatooine, where Obi-Wan is kind of overseeing a young, maturing Luke Skywalker from afar. So the potential that he has some type of adventure on Tatooine is certainly a possibility. And then in the next 2 planned films, Obi-Wan was set to go off Tatooine and have some type of adventure off planet in both of those. And my guess is that it was planned that, at some point he was going to run into Darth Maul, who survived their showdown in the Phantom Menace and went on to start the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate. So basically, there's a lot of potential there for the miniseries or the TV show to explore. But in terms of tying in the stuff to the sequel trilogy, I feel like a lot of this speculation in this article is a little bit odd. So basically, Obi-Wan was already dead by the time Luke lost his hand and the lightsaber up in Cloud City. So I don't know how they would tie in with how Maz found it. But there's a possibility that we could see how Enfys Nest somehow kind of crossed Obi-Wan's path, and he might have helped, start the kernel of the rebellion. So that's definitely something. But I think that the crux of the Obi-Wan series is probably going to be about him versus Darth Maul for the most part, simply because that's that's his nemesis. That's kind of been the showdown that we want to see again. We want to see, now that we know that Darth Maul survived, thanks to Solo: A Star Wars Story, we definitely want to see how that final showdown happens and all that good stuff. So I'm guessing that that's kind of what the series is going to be about. I have no idea, actually, but we do know that it starts off on Tatooine and then transitions into off-world, and eventually, of course, Obi Wan Kenobi comes back to Tatooine to continue protecting Luke Skywalker as he kind of matures. But we could possibly see Darth Vader in here, but the one thing I don't see happening is somehow tying into the sequel trilogy, simply because the sequel trilogy happens so far after Obi-Wan's time that I don't really see how you can tie it into the time period between episodes 3 and 4. Unless you do kind of introduce characters like Maz and stuff like that. But I think that we're probably going to actually see more prequel era people in this than we are going to see the sequel era people. But what do you guys think of this article? What are your theories? Do you think that the Obi-Wan series is somehow going to tie into the sequel trilogy in some way? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, for more movie, TV, and entertainment news and analysis, subscribe to my channel. Anyway, guys, this is Matt. I'll catch you in the next video.